Picture it, Los Angeles, 2024.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever gonna need to listen to. Who am I? I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're doing another Beyond Golden Girls episode where we cover the many film and TV projects that the women did outside of the Golden Girls during the course of their illustrious careers. And since we got so much positive feedback on our last breakdown of a Mama's Family episode, today we're going back to the city of Raytown, Missouri. Missouri. We just watched Betty, Rue, and another fun Golden Girls guest star in Mama for Mayor, Part 1 of Mama's Family.
First off, I need to say, and we talked about this before on the podcast, I am so thrilled at everyone's response to the initial watching of Mama's Family and people's love for Mama's Family. And I hope to be an ambassador for people to watch Mama's Family, particularly those first two seasons with Rue McClanahan and Betty White, because it brings me so much joy. And I am so... You and I were texting being like, should we do this? Should we do both episodes in one episode or should we make it a two-parter? And I'm like, I need all of the Mama's Family I can get. It has to be a two-parter. Thank you.
Yeah, I was a dum-dum and I just assumed we were doing parts 1 and 2, so I just went ahead and watched them both. But it was a really fun watch. We do have a lot to talk about. But
we do.
Before we get into it, wow, we got some housekeeping. We've got really, really, really exciting stuff coming up in the GGV IP Club over on Patreon first.
Especially with two guests. Oh my God. Sorry, I spilled the beans. I spilled the beans.
All right. Well, we might as well just put that one first. So yes, we have interviews with two very exciting Golden Girls guest stars. One that we literally manifested into happening. That's one. Those are coming up in the next few weeks. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about them. We have got another live watch along of a Golden Girls episode this Saturday, July 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't yet voted on the steamy summer romance episode that we'll be watching, head on over to patreon.com/Golden Girls podcast. This is for the members in the $8 a month Miami program director tier, but we love our watch-alongs, don't we?
We do love our watch-alongs. And the reason why we're doing it on Saturday is because on Sunday I have to be in high drag, and there's just too much that happens on a day that I need to be in drag for us to record. We've done that before, and it's very stressful. So that's why we're doing it on Saturday. That said, because I'm going to be in drag the following day, if you would like maybe a special message of birthday thanks, of summer love, if you want me to maybe leave a message for your doctor in drag, like there's things that you could do. You can go to our Patreon and you can, I think, purchase like a special message gift or something, right? I don't know how it works, but
yes,
you can purchase a custom video. Yeah, you can purchase a custom video from Sadie. I don't even remember how much it is, but go to the Patreon store, and like if you want a special message, Sunday would be the day, or before Sunday would be the day to request that, so that on Sunday I can record that special message and hopefully tell your husband, take out the garbage. That's what I want. I want someone.
I want some spouse. Take out the garbage.
I want some spouse to request me to create a video being like, hey, he loves you. He does, but he needs you to take out the garbage.
Thanks. I love that. I wonder what my message I would have Sadie say to Stan.
Oh, I know what I would say to Stan.
What?
Stan, can you take off your shirt?
I'm going to tell him that you said that. I think that's going to make him feel really good.
Can you hug me? Can you just tell me I'm safe?
He's good at all those things.
He is very good at all those things.
When we hug, because we're the same height, we put our chins on each other's shoulders.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, we fit together like a little puzzle, like little puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Also, in the GGVIP Club this week, you're getting an all-new Rusty Anchor Happy Hour. This episode is our 3-week hiatus catch-up. Now, you've all been getting new episodes of the podcast, but we haven't spoken for 3 weeks. We have a lot of catching up to do. I have a very embarrassing plane story to tell. I was on the East Coast for 3 weeks, and oh boy, I was a very embarrassing person on a plane. I will say I did not engage with anybody. It wasn't like I didn't get in a fight on a plane. I didn't, get into a fight with a Karen or a Debbie.
Yeah.
But I did have a very, very embarrassing moment on a plane.
I can't wait for that.
I'm
so excited about that.
You haven't heard that yet. And finally, in another fun piece of news, Today, we're releasing a bonus episode on the main feed. We're releasing our Hillary Shepard interview. Hillary,
Yeah.
aka I'm Yvonne, and this is it. Woo!
Yeah, we spoke to her a couple months back. I think it was a couple months back on the Patreon, and we just thought it'd be fun to give you guys a taste of what our interviews with some of the GG sort of like, VIPs are like in the GG VIP club, and we wanted to just give you a taste of it. So we figured, why not give a little summer treat? It's like a nice little ice cream cone in the shape of Hillary, aka Yvonne,
Who is so gorgeous and
I
so
mean,
charming and
and
so
so
fun.
delightful and just like a good human being. Like a
Yeah,
good
she was
human
cool.
being. She was so cool. So we're gonna have lots, like we had hinted at before, we're gonna have lots more of those coming up. So if you've ever been on the fence about joining the GG VIP club, now would be the time to do it
Yeah,
because
listen to
fun
that
stuff is
Hillary
coming up.
interview. And yeah, know that we've got more guests on the way. And we have other guests in the past. We have Marsha
Yeah.
Posner Williams. We've had a lot of really fun interviews. We've had Stan Zimmerman back on the podcast.
Yeah.
So a
And
lot of fun stuff.
I have a personal request that I also did on the Hillary one, but I want to request to everyone here because it's our 10-year anniversary coming up. Because things are happening with us, good things are happening with us. There's exciting things we're going to be announcing very, very soon. I want to implore all of you that ratings and reviews really do help us a lot. Even though you're with us every single week and we love you and your family for like 10 years now, we want to make sure that we reach all of the people and all of the new GG lovers out there, if you will. So go leave a little rating and review. It will help boost us in those numbers and help us attract more new fans of the GG club, if you will.
I love that face you just
The
made.
club, if you will. So yeah, go leave a rating and review and leave a screenshot or send us a screenshot, DM us a screenshot of you doing that. And who knows, we might send you a little voice message saying we love you so much.
That is all of our fun housekeeping news.
Actually,
Oh
I
no,
have
we
one.
have one
No,
more. We have one more
we have one more.
piece.
There's so many things happening. So because we've been gone for 3 weeks, it feels like we have like business to catch up on. It also feels like the world has completely changed in the last 3 weeks because in the political world, it has completely changed. So like lots happened since we've been on hiatus. But I was at DragCon this past weekend. Last weekend. And DragCon is just a drag event, RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's their big drag con where you can go meet the drag queens that are there. And I wasn't there as Sadie, I was just there as me walking around. But it was so great to meet so many fans of the podcast at DragCon. And it's like, it's definitely a concentrated space of Golden Girls lovers because it's like drag fans and then Golden Girls fans, they kind of go hand in hand. So it was nice to hear from so many of you, meet so many of you. And one of them I met is actually a friend of a friend, which is really amazing that we have that connection. Augusta Vind. Now, Augusta, I said this in person. You knew I was going to fuck up your name. You knew it. When I told you this in person, I was going to do it when on the podcast. I'm one of those people, and I'm going to do a RuPaul on you right now, and I'm going to say, let's workshop the last name. Let's just workshop it a little bit maybe in the future. I mean, because Augusta is a beautiful new drag queen. Let me get her. It's Augusta dot the Vind. I'm gonna spell it out. VWIND on Instagram. Augusta VWIND. And
I'm looking at a
and
photo of her right now.
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
But she's a big fan of the
Stunning.
podcast, and we love a queen who loves out on the Lanai. And so, hello, Augusta. Everyone
Hello,
go follow Augusta. And if you have
Gorgeous.
wonderful drag looks or beautiful looks that are Golden Girls related, send those to us too. Tag us in those because we always love seeing them. And I saw a bunch of them at Golden Girls too. Some caftans with Golden Girls on them. Like there were so many Golden Girls things at DragCon. It was like so delightful.
I love that. We talk about Venn diagrams all the time of Golden Girls fans and other types of fans. And I feel like Drag Race, Golden Girls, that is
It's
a beautiful.
very connected. It's
Yeah.
very connected.
Very,
It's very
very connected.
Now, can we talk about Mama's Family for a second?
You were so excited to watch this episode. I want to know because it's a coincidence because
Yes,
you
it
picked
is.
this episode
weeks ago
before there was any big political news happening. So
I mean, even before the debate, because like in the span of time since we last recorded, there was that disastrous debate, that between Trump and Biden. And then, of course, there was the assassination attempt on Trump's life, which was horrible. And then there was Biden dropping out and then Kamala Harris being the presumptive Democratic nominee. All of that happened in the time that we were off. And both Kerri and I, this is not a political podcast. We're not going to get into politics here, but both Kerri and I, we encourage you to vote and vote for, your friends and family and the betterment of their futures, and consider marginalized people out there who could deserve and help your vote. But that said, this is not political. But what is so wonderful about that is that this week, as Kamala sort of takes over and as sort of the election happens, it's sort of like this episode is very much Mama as sort of the Kamala of the episode in a way, right? Kamala of the episode.
I mean, here was my take on it.
Kind of, a little bit.
Here was my take on it. First, to me, Mama was like the AOC for seniors in this town, because she was like, hey, I'm just a mom. I'm just, a housewife. I don't really know politics very well, but I'm here. I'm representing a group of people. In this case, it was seniors. For AOC, I feel like it was for, a lot of like younger people.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of, to me, she was the AOC of seniors. She's like, I'm not a politician. I'm just an everyday person, and I'm going to get on in there and I'm going to stir some stuff up. But the other thing that it did sort of remind me of with this upcoming presidential election, which we saw with Biden, is that age. There's a lot of ageism. Age is a factor. It was mentioned by her opponent, Tutwiler, who I think is the funniest name.
Such
Mayor
a good name.
Tutwiler.
Such a great actor, too. Such a great character actor.
Very, very, very good.
I don't know. I think there was just something, and I have to, the reason why I keep, I know Kamala's name, but I keep screwing it up because I want to say Mamala and Mama, and then Mama. I mean, there's so many things happening in my head with Mama, Mamala, Kamala. So, like, excuse me, I apologize in advance. That said,
I always get it wrong. Where's the emphasis?
It's Kamala. Just
Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Because sometimes I say Kamala, I find, but
no,
Kamala.
That's incorrect.
I know.
Kamala.
I'm saying I get it wrong all the time.
No, but I think, it just takes practice. That's all. Yeah. Just like, with Brock's name too. It was, some people had trouble, and we all evolve, and we support people evolving in this world on this podcast. That said, I do find the parallels between what's happening in the real world and this episode of Mama's Family. That said, we're not going to be comparing the whole episode of, Kamala and Biden and all of that to this episode, because this episode is all about Mama, Betty White being slutty, and Rue McClanahan being a big old nerd, really. Like a huge nerd. Like a journalist, writer, political nerd. And it is who just
wants her story to be published and to be read.
That's all she wants. It is such a good episode.
And I know we'll get into it, but it brought me back. Her just wanting to be published so badly brings me back to like Blanche of like, just a tiny little happy little boss of sunshine.
Yes.
It brought me back to that Blanche to. I am a writer. I'm going to write the next great American novel. Like
it's so good.
It's so good.
It is such, and I like I said before, I'm a massive fan of Mama's Family. I am a massive ambassador of loving Mama's Family, and I was so heartened on YouTube and on the podcast and the responses and DMs from everybody how much they love this. And I also too want to give a special, and I want you all to send some love to Vicki Lawrence, not because I want her on the podcast, even though I very much do, but she did recently lose her longtime husband who, I mean, they had such a love and a marriage, and like, I mean, just honestly, like it was kind of, and he had been her hairstylist for a long time. I think Al Schultz is his name. And he died, I think, about a month ago now as of this recording. So in like June of 2024. And it's just when a Hollywood marriage lasts that long and they loved each other so much that it breaks my heart, especially for a talent that I love so much like Vicki Lawrence. So go over, give Vicki Lawrence some love. Just comment on one of her posts, just some hearts or something. And because that's always a nice thing. Then fans show love in that way. And I want to show love to Vicki Lawrence right now and celebrate Vicki Lawrence a little bit today, which I'm really excited about.
Yes. Yeah. Let today be I mean, she's so fantastic. We're going to talk so much about how great she is on this episode and on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Mayor Tutwiler.
Mayor, that name. That name is a name.
This episode starts with Mama is getting I feel like how many episodes of this show start with Mama getting the house ready for something?
I mean, because it's so like for someone who is so ornery and so opposed to other people, she's surrounded by other people quite often.
Always opening her house up for something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, so she's opening her house for a campaign event for the incumbent mayor of Raytown, Mayor Tutwiler. He's running unopposed, which makes Betty White very happy because they're dating. And this is for her, this is a pathway to governor for him, which is a pathway for her to be the governor's wife.
Because it worked for Nancy Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love the idea of Betty White as Ellen as a ruthless wife of a politician is, I mean, if you've ever seen the film The Manchurian Candidate, it is just like she's playing that Angela Lansbury sort of like ruthless mom of the politician, but in this case wife. And she'll do anything to make sure he wins. And it's just such a joy because I love seeing Betty White ruthless.
Mm-hmm. Ruthless and horny. Like
Horny.
those are the two cards she's playing in this whole episode. It's like, oh, here's my ruthless card, and oh, here's my horny card.
I mean,
Those
yeah.
are, and it's
And
fun.
Betty White always does horny so well.
Mm-hmm.
So well. I mean, if there's ever been a funnier horny person on television, please show them to me because I think Betty White takes the cake.
So at this event, so Mayor Tutwiler, he's like a politician. He's very much just like, oh, I'm charismatic and I say things that, I'm just trying to win the votes, and
he'll say anything to get someone's vote, basically, but not really mean anything. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this particular audience at Mama's house, it's a group of senior citizens in town.
Big crowd. I was surprised at the size of the crowd because usually in television shows when there's a crowd in a house, it's like 8 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just this felt like a good 15.
It was a good amount. And I've been at houses for these types of things where like if you're encouraged to write a check by the door when you leave. Like I've been to what was his name? Tom Pure something. And I went to my friend used to work for Adam Schiff, so I've been to a house there. A house there at Adam Schiff. No, I forget what event it was, but those houses are packed with people. It's common, but they're very packed with people typically. So yes,
it reminds me of the episode of Will and Grace where any Will and Grace fans out there, which I'm sure there's a ton of overlap between Golden Girls and Will and Grace, but there's an episode where Will is supporting a gay candidate for city council, I think, and Grace is supporting a Jewish female candidate for city council, and they hold a political event at their apartment for both candidates because they can't agree on one candidate to support. And as they're doing it, Will's like, well, such and such has this stance, and Grace is like, such and such has this stance, and then both candidates speak, and they both say like totally atrocious things. Like they didn't even read their policies. They were like, oh, he's gay. She's a Jewish female.
Jewish woman.
And then they turns out like one isn't in favor of immigration and one wants to lock everybody up. It was like crazy talk. And it was a fun episode. I encourage people to watch.
That's a really fun idea for an episode. Well, the senior citizens at this campaign event, they are not happy with this dude. The vibes are very much like, what have you done for me lately?
Can't afford it.
Can't afford it. They're just hammering away at him. He's sort of giving the typical, I only have so much power. I only have so much money. And Mama's basically like, then why are you in politics, my dude?
Mama's keeping it real.
Mama is poking holes and
Mama
stuff
is
that he's
out there
saying.
Mama is doing the actually thing. It's like the person who has the pen at the event who's like taking notes and being like, actually, like, you know what I mean? Who's like calling the politician out.
She's fact checking him on the spot.
She's kind of the Bernie Sanders of this. Like, there's a little Bernie in her a little bit.
Yeah, she's a Bernie mom. There is a moment when she keeps fact checking him, Betty is like freaking out a little bit and trying to shut her up. So she goes, "Cheese puff, mama," and kind of shoves it in her mouth. And it just
Mm,
reminded me of so many of those moments between Dorothy and Sophia when Dorothy wants
yeah.
Sophia to shut up, where she's like, chew it slowly, Ma, like they taught you at the
Well,
home.
also moments between Dorothy and Rose too, where Dorothy wants Rose to shut up, so she just hits her with a newspaper, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's lots of those too, which I can
There are
definitely see
lots
that.
of those. There are
Yeah,
lots of those, but
but
none
no,
where Dorothy
Betty
puts
White's
something in her
Ellen.
mouth.
Yeah,
Oh my
true.
gosh. Yeah,
Betty White's Ellen is definitely like she's trying hard to keep the peace so that no feathers are ruffled.
and like that is kind of a difficult position for her to be in, where she's like, this is my
Hmm.
mom, this is my mom's house, this is
It's
my
not though,
boyfriend.
because Betty White's Ellen was family be damned. She was going to get what she wanted always,
Yeah.
always. And in the last episode we watched this, you can go back and you can listen to it. It was the wedding two-parter that we watched. Um, Ellen also was like, she'll do it. She got a Cadillac Seville or something, like because she slept with or whatever it was. Like she'll do anything to get what she wants. And what she wants in this episode is to be first lady.
Mm-hmm. Power, status, materialistic things. Yeah.
I support world peace.
If it benefits me. Rue McClanahan has a great moment so she's there as like the journalist, and she's taking her job very, very seriously.
Very.
And she learns that a piece that she wrote about the event didn't exactly make the front page. And we got to
Mm-hmm.
play that moment.
It's the biggest thing to hit Raytown in years. Is your story in the Bugle, ain't Fran?
Well, yes, of course it is.
It's not on the front page.
No, it isn't.
Why not?
Well, it seems I have been slightly edited. They have taken out my insightful references to the Lincoln-Douglas debates, as well as my cogent comparison of Thelma to Eleanor Roosevelt.
What they leave in?
Thelma's recipe for cheese puffs.
I love the way she says Eleanor. Eleanor.
Eleanor.
It's like she takes the E in Eleanor, like the second E in Eleanor, and has to pronounce it. I love it. I love it.
Eleanor.
Eleanor.
I saw so much of what Rue brought to Blanche in this clip, because like she did that thing where she like gingerly touches the side of her hair when she's like, oh, you can't forgive us Baptists, or like, it would be on Southern, and she does that
Also,
hair touch. She did that, and it was like, oh, she's gonna do that with Blanche.
yeah. Can we talk though? And also, the second season Rue McClanahan hair on Mama's Family is very close to early seasons Blanche hair on Golden Girls, and it's wonderful to watch. Because first season, Rue McClanahan on Mama's Family is like a Rue we've never seen before. It's like, like Nun Rue. It's like we saw Nun Rue before on Golden Girls, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's very, put up. That said, I love in this moment. So it's like the next morning now. They're all like in the living room, and it's like morning time, and they're all in their pajamas and stuff. We on Golden Girls, we saw a lot of Rue McClanahan in nightgowns, and she was not in a Blanche moment like Ellen, or not Ellen,
Fran.
Fran, thank you. To me, it's just Rue and Betty.
I know. I just call them Rue and Betty. I can't.
But Rue is very like stuck up in her nightgown in this one. But Naomi, oh my God, Naomi in that little yellow, like, I mean, I don't even know, was it a 90? I don't know what it was, but it is like sexy, and she's Blanche. She's Blanche.
Her nightie, like silk, yeah, very kind of revealing. A lot of I think she was wearing like a necklace that was like just resting on her clavicle.
Yeah.
She looked, that was the Blanche nightgown. I wonder if Rue McClanahan was like, I hope someday I'm on a television program where I get to wear those, and then I'm going to take them home.
I don't know. The actress who played Naomi, Dorothy Lyman, incredible character actress. She went on to play so many different great parts. That said, she has some scandalous outfits and nightgowns on Mama's Family, and this second season nighty situation she's in leaves a lot. I mean, she's got a lot going on. Let's just say that.
She's got a lot going on, but not as much as Mama, because
Mama has like the hair thing going on, and she's the nightgown that I would wear.
She's very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
like, that's what I'm there for. I'm there for comfort. I'm there for comfort. But Mama, so this shit has just taken off in
She's a
the
celebrity.
media.
A
She has
celebrity.
become a celebrity from like a couple of little journalists sitting in her living room. It just her sort of telling off a politician as sort of an everyday person has, I mean, there are camera crews surrounding the house. They're like, "Are you going to run for mayor?" And of course, I like just jumping, like everybody's so excited about Mama now. And of course, Betty, who wants, her boyfriend, Weenie Tutwiler, to win, she's not having it. And
No.
there is such a great moment between them in front of the
Wait.
cameras because, like, should we set?
We have to set it up a little bit.
Yeah, set the scene.
So because so many people have not, and you can find Mama's Family on like Tubi or something. Like you can find it places. It's also on Logo, but I bought it and I encourage you to go buy it too. That said, the setup for this is like that Naomi sees there's a crowd forming on the front lawn, and Mama is pissed that everyone is stepping on her peonies or whatever they're called. Like, I mean, she is like, "Who are these people?" And then
You're stepping all over my hydrangeas, like.
Yeah, they all go outside, and Naomi's in this like tiny little revealing outfit, standing on the front porch. They cut to an outside shot, probably on the studio. I don't know where it was.
No,
but
I think that was on location. I think that was the real house.
You think so?
I think it was the real house.
Wow. So that means they flew out like Vicki Lawrence, Betty White, Rue McClanahan, or I guess they didn't flew out because it was in Pasadena or something here.
Yeah, the houses are always out here.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't fly out, but still, like that's wild. And in this scene, like not only do you have, Mama outside on the lawn, they're all outside on the lawn. There's a television crew there, but then Betty White's car action, she was a stunt driver. She was Estelle Getty in Don't Tell Mom, or no, Don't Shoot.
Don't tell Mama from the train. Shoot him.
Wait,
yeah, you
wait,
got
what
it.
is
You got
what
it.
is it? What
no,
is it?
You got it. Come on.
Don't shoot, Mom. I don't fucking know. It's that movie where she has the gun with Sylvester Stallone.
Stop.
Don't make a stop or my mom will shoot.
There you go.
And
this is making it into a socials clip because that was ridiculous.
I'm sorry, it's a bad movie, but I like Sylvester Stallone in it. That
yeah, he wears
scene.
a diaper. Okay.
And the diaper was kind of. I mean, it's not my thing. I'm not going to judge you if it is, but still. That said, the action scene reminded me of like Estelle Getty driving in that movie or whatever she did, because Betty White drives onto the lawn, onto whoever's home this is lawn, and she drives up so fast and stops so fast. It was like she was almost going to hit a child and she had to stop the car immediately. Like that's how quickly she stopped. And she got out of that car like it was like an action movie. This is a Betty White action sequence.
I can tell you from experience. So when I worked on the Goldbergs, the exterior of the Goldbergs' house, they would shoot there every once in a while. And they pay those people so much money.
Yeah.
Because it's usually semi-last minute, and it's like you got to leave for the whole day. You just have to leave your home, and people are hanging out in your home. Like that's where the cast hangs out, is inside. They've got to put like cardboard down on the floor for people to walk over. It's a whole thing, but they get compensated very well.
Well,
so
I hope they paid for this homeowner's lawn, because
I'm
the lawn.
sure they did. Either that or they put something on the grass for her to drive up on, so she wasn't driving up. But I noticed that too. I was like, oh boy, that's someone's lawn. Yeah, that was an action sequence.
But yeah, so then that gets to Betty White confronting, and even before our clip starts, Betty White actually goes up to the camera and says, no pictures or whatever. Like she like puts her hand up to the camera. It is.
And
go watch this episode, because this whole moment is worth it.
This whole moment, I know it was too long to pull the whole thing, but she's also like, she's not like gaslighting her mom, but she like goes up to her. She's basically trying to make her appear feeble in front of the cameras. Like she's like, Mama, you're so confused. Let's get you back inside. Like, Betty, what are you doing? But
it's so good.
They're back and forth. This is some great acting between the two of them.
Truly. Let's play a clip here.
Our only confusion her. Can't you see she is old and feeble? Now, hold on just a darn minute here. Well, how could she be mayor? She hardly knows where she is. You are home now, Mama. This is your front porch. Now let's us go in and have a nice cup of cocoa.
You'll have to forgive my daughter. She's been hanging around with Mayor Tutwiller so long she thinks everybody's feeble-minded.
As you can see, Thelma Harper is a feisty and formidable opponent. Shut up! She has declared her candidacy, but Thelma Harper has created more.
Not running! The hell ain't.
The hell I.
I love it. Also, I'm pretty sure Betty like hit the cameraman or like the newscaster with a newspaper.
I mean, whatever
like,
she did,
Betty,
it was
that's
completely.
gonna come bite you in the ass on the Golden Girls.
That's true. That's true. But now, Mama is running for mayor.
Well, what's funny is she actually, even after all of that, I feel like it was just kind of like in a heat of the moment thing. So she actually tells like her kids and everybody and her grandkids, she's like, I like basically, I have no intention of running. I'm
Mhm.
not going to run until she has made it onto the national news. They're all sitting around watching TV, and there's this like Dan Rather-esque journalist
Yeah.
who gives this really like moving, impassioned speech about how, you know, everyday citizens running for office.
Mhm.
It's so inspiring. This is what we need in our nation. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden, all eyes are on her. And she's like, I'm running. So now
Yeah.
she has decided she shall run.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I mean, she would be a horrible mayor, but I love it.
Well, we learn in part 2. I mean, spoiler
Well,
alert.
let's not say it, because I mean, I'm not watched. I literally have not watched. I probably last watched this episode when I was a teenager. So
Wow.
like,
Okay, I won't spoil anything.
so I don't know a lot. Although when there's a song montage that happens. Is it not? Is it now, or do we have a clip before?
Yes, it's now. So
Yeah.
Rue, in like a Miami You've Got Style kind of way. And I wish if I had known we were only doing part 1, I would have pulled a moment of this.
Well,
but
we
just
can't
have
really
to-
play the music because of copyright stuff. But
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But that said, I really do encourage you to go watch this episode, because basically it's just like, it's a Mama for Mayor song, and there's just this montage of, there's a great moment where she goes up to a man playing basketball, and he throws the ball to her, and she like throws the ball away, and she's like, actually, I'm gonna show you how to moonwalk. And she moonwalks like a Michael Jackson moonwalk. Vicki Lawrence, can we just talk about the physical comedic wonder that is Vicki Lawrence? Because she's playing an older character, but she's clearly very young. I mean, she's a very young woman at this point in her life. And so she's able to do things in this sort of elderly character's costume that obviously an elderly person probably would not be doing. And it is just so funny and joyful to see her like just do this little montage outside in like campaign things, and she's just silly and absurd. She falls in a trash can, she off of a stage, there's just so many things that Vicki Lawrence does that just makes me appreciate the absurdity of this show and how blessed we are that it exists in the world.
The basketball scene in the montage in particular, it reminded me of, this is sports, so you may not know this, but there was a basketball player in the 90s. He played for the Charlotte Hornets. His name was Larry Johnson, and he used to do a character named Grandmama. Do you remember Grandmama?
No.
Okay. So he used to dress up like a little old lady, but he was big. He was really tall.
Where would he
And
dress, like in the game?
no, I think it might have been for like a commercial or something, or
okay,
I
that
don't
makes
remember.
sense.
It was maybe it was like an ad or something that he did, but it reminded me of Grandmama, because you've got this like person who's like clearly younger, and they're physically moving in a way that an elderly woman shouldn't be able to move. And that's what it reminded me of with
It's
Vicki
like the
Lawrence.
Six Flags guy.
Yeah, it's like the Six Flags guy that goes da 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 da. And it's like a 17-year-old or something.
Can't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was always very like Uncanny Valley, because it's like you look like a person but you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Like
a bit
Max
of like
Headroom.
it's very Benjamin Buttons. He always reminded me of like Benjamin Buttons, like newborn Benjamin Buttons, I guess. Or
Is
like
it Benjamin
child.
Buttons or Benjamin Button?
Oh, I don't know. Is it Buttons or Button?
I think it's the curious case of Benjamin Button.
Is it Benjamin? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. Benjamin Button. Sorry, I can't. I have so many windows open that I can't like see it. No, you're right. Button. It's Button. It's Button.
But Button sounds really cute.
Doesn't it? Benjamin
It
Buttons.
does. Benjamin Buttons.
Buttons. I love
Benny
that. I love that.
Buttons.
But yeah, this campaign, we need to take a break. But like this campaign theme song, I can't even sing it for you, but it's like Mama for Mayor or whatever it was. Like it's just so
She ain't gonna give a crap. It's like it is really funny. And the montage is so long. It's like a 6-minute song.
It really is. It is like they spent time on this because they knew it was a two-parter. Oh my God, I love this. Okay, we need to take a break and we'll come back because Mama needs to get ready for election night.
And we are back talking about Mama's Family, Mama for Mayor Part 1. So Mama is exhausted. She's been going around town, kissing babies, shaking hands, playing b-ball down at the school. She's tired, but there's going to be a debate. And there's a great line where her son, Vinton, right? Vinton
Yeah.
is like, it's going to be face to face. And Mama goes, well, that's not fair. He's got 2 faces to my 1.
And that's how she's going to win. That's how she's going to win. There's things like that where she's just calling him out for being a liar and a fraud.
And she's also just funny.
She's just
Like,
funny, which I
on
mean,
a whim, in the moment, she's just funny. She's a funny person.
Yeah. It's she understands the smart use of a good quip, especially in like a debate or a political setting. Like you know who was like that? Because I mean, it's no secret I used to work in politics, and I used to work for a controversial figure. I'm going to say it, but like there's a reason why I'm mentioning him, Anthony Weiner. I worked for him long before his wiener made an appearance. And so it was a different time, and it was his first race for mayor. And I remember watching him being really mesmerized by how quick he was and how good he was at communicating in debates and just working rope lines and like talking with people. And he always had an anecdote. He always had a line. He always had something. And it's just those kind of brains. You either are a politician or you become a lawyer or you become an actor, like those, or a comedian. Those are the things that you become if you have that kind of brain. I like to think I have that brain, but I'm not anywhere near what Anthony Weiner had or what Mama has in this episode.
Yeah.
They're just quick.
They're so quick. Marsha Posner Williams is like that.
Yes, she is.
And my dad is like that. I was just with my dad. This man is 78 years old. He has Alzheimer's. He is like, his long-term memory is awesome, but he is so funny. Anytime I ask him how he is, I was like, how are you? He goes, I woke up, didn't I? But we were hanging out and he was eating, I made him spaghetti and he had like a piece caught in his dentures and he's like, what is this? And he took it out. It was like a little spaghetti noodle and he threw it in the trash. And here I was thinking that I was going to be like the cute, funny one. And I was like, you're not going to save that for later? And he's like, I know where to find it. And I was like, oh, you got me.
That's sweet. You know who else is like that? Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White certainly is one of those people that just always had a line. It usually was sex driven, and she just knew when to drop the bomb of whatever she had to say. And she's just, those people are really great. I hope I'm one of them. I think I might be. I don't know. But yes, I admire it so much.
It is very, very funny.
Yeah.
So the debate is about to happen between Mama and Mayor Tutwiler.
Yeah.
And we get this great moment where Betty is kind of like psyching up Mayor Tutwiler before they go out. And he's getting really excited and she's getting really turned on. And horny Betty. Betty for power. Betty wants power. We got to play it.
We love horny Betty.
Voters will turn out in droves.
People will find out Mama doesn't know what she's doing, and you will be elected by the largest voter turnout in Raytown history.
But we must be prepared, just in case, if by some strange turn of events your Mama does well.
Oh, Tutty Face, don't you worry. I will simply come in and say there's urgent business at City Hall. You'll just have to leave.
Now I know why I'm so crazy about you.
You mean there was still some doubt after last night? Alvin.
I think that means it's sort of like the beginning of Bridesmaids where Maya Rudolph goes, Did you let him sleep over in your mouth? Like it's one of those moments where you're like, that Ellen did something dirty.
I mean, she was so hot. My air kicked on literally, like my AC just kicked on at the end of her speech.
It knew it needed to cool you down.
Her saying like Alvin at the end, it felt very like check, please, from the impotence of being earnest when he's like in your mouth, you get all sweaty.
Or even in my birthday episode a couple of weeks ago with the wedding too. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like when Betty White gets hot, she gets hot.
That's why they made Hot in Cleveland. They wanted to call
hey!
They wanted to call it
more
Hot
of
and
Hot
Betty.
in Cleveland. We have not done enough Hot in Cleveland.
We will watch more Hot in Cleveland. We have got
listeners,
plenty.
please send us suggestions for great Hot in Cleveland episodes because it is very foreign to both Kerri and I, and we want to do that. So please send us those episodes. But the debate on Mama's Family episode, Mama's Mayor Part 1, like there's a moment there. There's a moment there where it seems like the mayor might be one-upping Mama. It seems like Mama might have met her match in this televised debate.
Yeah, Tutwiler, he's focusing on her age. I know. And also her lack of experience. But yeah, and it does look like,
But then she comes back at him. She comes back at him and she spins it in a homespun kind of way. And the mayor is caught metaphorically with his pants down.
I actually wrote down, I don't know if I have this verbatim, but basically what she said was, she goes, I may not know anything about lying and finagling, but she's like, I'll treat the citizens like my own kids. A vote for Thelma Harper is like a hug for your mother.
Which is a perfect line. If you're running for office, that line would immediately be, I would be like, you got my vote. You got my vote, Mama. Because who doesn't want a hug from Mom? I want a hug from Mom. Mama. Like
I would love a hug from Vicki Lawrence.
That's what I'm saying.
Lovely.
That's what I'm saying. My mom doesn't give great hugs either. Actually, she's not a great hugger, but like she's a great talker, but not a great hugger. But Vicki Lawrence, I bet, would be a great hugger.
A friend of mine told me I used to hug too hard.
I had a friend recently who hugged me for too long, and I was a little bit like, okay, that's too much. Like, you're going too far here. Like, just give the hug and go. You know what I mean?
Were they soaking you in or smelling you? It had been a while since you'd seen them.
No, but it was like after, because obviously I had a very rough last month, and so there was a lot of it was like a sympathy hug, which I understand, but I also was just sort of like, okay, we're done. I would like to sit down and enjoy my coffee. You know what I mean? Like, but maybe I'm a cold, heartless person, which is
you're not.
It's a real possibility that I might be. I mean, I'm awkward. I understand that. In person, I'm very awkward, which anyone who met me at DragCon can attest to. But
I think it's fine to know when a hug is over for you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I will pull away. And then if they don't pull away, I'll usually make a joke being like, please, I know I'm hot, but stop. And then that usually makes everyone uncomfortable, and then I get to stop and I get to sit down and enjoy my coffee, which is all I wanted in the first place.
Well, if I ever hug you for too hard or for too long, you can tell me.
I mean, well,
I won't take it personally.
The way I used to have a joke in my act. This is so bad. I used to have a joke in my act where talking about some people hugging too long and like surefire ways to get out of someone hugging you too long, and I only did this once and it worked. And so I put it into my act, but I never really did it again in real life. But I would say to the person, stop, you're giving me a boner. And it and it totally works, because as soon as you bring that into the conversation, everyone's like, oh, but stop hugging me.
No.
No.
I'm not kidding. We have so many runners, 10 years of runners on this podcast.
Wow. That's the new runner. We need to create merch. No, I'm not kidding. Stop. You're giving me a boner. What's that from? That's from something.
Well,
I
no, you're
forget. I'll
thinking
think
of
about it.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. There's something. People listening, please, if you can recognize the stop, you're giving me a boner. It's
Google it
from
right
something.
now. Google
Well,
Stop Your
if I Google that, it's going to be really inappropriate, and I'm not
Do you
in that
think you'll be put
mood.
on a list?
No, I'm not going to be put on a list, but I'm just going to say, like, wait, stop! You're giving me a boner. I'm looking it up. You're giving me a
And then write
boner.
quote.
Okay, quote. Yeah, because it's going to be a lot of pictures. Well, it's still. Oh, you know what it's from? It's from The Office. Everyone is dying right now because they knew exactly what I was talking about. Yes, it's from The Office.
Michael.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
who is he hugging?
Phyllis, of course.
Yes. Oh,
You're giving
God.
me a boner.
Can I tell you the cutest thing about Steve Carell?
Please.
So my brother lives in Marshfield, Massachusetts, which is where I believe
They have a little
Steve Carell
shop.
is from. Yes, they have a
Yeah.
little shop, and his sister-in-law runs it, and they sell office merch there. And it's always like a big thing in town when Steve Carell comes, and he'll just like hang out at the shop and
That's
chat with
cute.
people.
He
And
is such a good human being, I have to say. I've met him a few times, and he's just such a nice human being.
I'm always happy to hear that about people I admire.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the good ones for sure. And so is Vicki Lawrence.
Back to Mama's Family. Well, so
it's election night.
It is election night. Everybody's excited until everybody falls asleep except for Mama.
Yeah, because it's not looking good for Mama. The numbers are not there. It's not good. And, you know, they don't know what it's just not looking good. And
everybody falls asleep it's almost like Pompeii, because you see everybody's like in mid action and they're all just frozen like a hand in a popcorn bowl. Like it was like whatever they were doing when they fell asleep.
Yeah, which is cute. I've seen that before. Sometimes Michael will pull all-nighters, and he'll then, after like of doing that because of work, he'll like fall asleep like sitting up or like on his phone, or it's funny to see.
He just has like tweezers with like a tiny jewel dangling.
He's done that.
I believe it.
No, that's not. Yeah, I can't do that. But no, but then Mama eventually falls asleep, and we hear on the television, because we think it's going to be bad news. But then, as everyone is asleep, including Mama, the news announcer announces,
Mama won mayor.
Mama, Thelma Harper, in an upset, has been elected mayor. And then the person on television is like, I can only imagine the celebrations that are happening at the Harper house or whatever. And
they're all sleeping.
They're all asleep. And they didn't mention this. There's no reference to this, but the Missourian in me, who, if anyone from Missouri, you know, Harry Truman is you learn a lot about Harry Truman, President Harry Truman, because he's from Missouri. And he's from not far from where Raytown is actually, like Independence, Missouri is not too far from Raytown. And I think it's even in Jackson County. I don't know, but it's not far. And anyway, famously, when Harry Truman ran for a re-election, even though he was serving out the rest of FDR's term, and then he was running for his first term, his full first term, it wasn't looking good against Mike Dewey, I think his name was. And there's that famous photo of Truman holding a newspaper that says Dewey wins, because on election night, Dewey was expected to win, and all numbers looked like that. And so they printed up all these newspapers, and then Harry Truman famously went to sleep, just sort of like, okay, just going to go to sleep and let it be what it is, before even any results had been really sort of like brought in, even though everyone thought Dewey was going to win. And then he wakes up and he's still the president. He won. And there's that picture. He takes a picture of him holding up the newspaper saying Dewey wins. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of that, because of the location and Missouri and Truman and Mama and all those things. So the history nerd in me was like, that's fun. I understand that connection, and not a lot of people do, and that makes me smart.
I didn't know it. I didn't know that connection. That's fascinating. And
yeah.
Also, I feel like that Dewey newspaper would fetch a lot of money on eBay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they still exist, but I'm sure they're in like history museums or something. It might even be in the Truman Library in Jackson County, Missouri. Or is it Jackson County or Independence? I forget, because Jackson County is also where the Mormons went, which is another part of my history. So I could be confusing a lot of things here. But yes, it's in Independence, Missouri, regardless.
I like it when you go on when you get excited and you talk really fast about fun history things. I like it.
There's gonna be a lot of that with the election these next few months. So if you want to hear that, maybe I'll post it on my stories, I guess. I don't know, because I don't know where I can talk about it. Yeah, but that was the episode. Well, of part one.
Part
Part
one.
two, Mama is sworn in as mayor and gets to work, and things start happening, which we will be covering next week on the podcast.
Yes.
So exciting. 2 weeks
Very,
of
very
Mama's
exciting.
family.
I know, 2 weeks of Mama's family.
More like so much Rue McClanahan and Betty White and Vicki Lawrence. I mean, I am here for this 2-week special, but let's take a break and we'll come back with our golden takeaways.
Let's do it.
And we are back with our golden takeaway, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what's your golden takeaway for this episode?
I think, for this episode, I feel like Mama was someone who, because she didn't have a lot of experience, like she didn't totally believe in herself. And, you're going to show your product. Okay, show your product over my.
No, go ahead. I was
Takeaway.
putting it on while you're talking,
No, I
so
know
I had to
you're
show
putting
everyone.
it on. I know that's the thing that we do. Just like sometimes I raise my hand and the balloons fly up. Oh, it didn't happen
Yeah.
this time. Hey.
Oh, wow.
I think, I love to see an underdog win, a good underdog. And it's just sort of a reminder that I feel like a lot of times we talk ourselves out of doing things because we're like, well, I probably wouldn't get it, or I'm probably not good enough, or I'm not perfect for this, blah, blah, blah. But like, I just want to encourage people, do what Mama did and just like fucking go for it.
Yeah.
And maybe just like try to reframe your thinking instead of like, I'm not good enough for this thing. Be like, these people would be lucky to have me here. These people would be lucky to have me working here, to be leading. Like, try to reframe that kind of negative thinking, because if Mama did it, you can do it.
Turn that frown upside down.
Just like
Turn it
Mrs.
upside
Mean
down.
Old Lady Hickenlooper. I just watched that episode.
It's a good one. My golden takeaway from this episode, I've said this a lot, I know, and that's not me being political, but I'm just going to say it again. Go register to vote. That's all I care about. It's an important election this year. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, although you know who to vote for. And I'm not going to tell you like how to vote, what to do, whatever, any of that. I just want you to vote. I want you to vote. I want you to go get registered, tell your friends to vote, make sure your family's voting, make sure you're voting in every single election, not just the presidential election. We're talking all the way down to that school board, local offices, etc., because those people do impact your lives in an intimate way more than the president probably ever will. But the presidency is also very important. But whatever you do, just please go, vote. Do what Mama wants you to do and vote.
Somebody should remix that into a Mama's Family vote campaign song.
I wouldn't be able to. I'm not that smart. That's something I can't do.
I said somebody else should do it. You're busy.
Yeah, listeners.
You're
I'm
busy, girl.
You're
very busy. You're very busy.
Very busy. I'm very busy. But yeah, no, this was such a fun episode. I'm so excited to watch part 2 next week. I'm so excited to watch more Mama's Family. And I just love that y'all are a part of the journey with us.
Yes, I'm excited. I've been loving watching Mama's Family. So thank you for introducing it to me and to some of our listeners, not all of them, because a lot of them love Mama's Family.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, that's been another episode of Out on the Lanai, and we will see you all back here next week for more Golden Girls greatness. And remember to check out the GGVIP Club at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch all of these videos like the Monday after they come out. The episode comes out on
but if you want to see me posing like I am right now, which is very dramatic, then you need to go to Patreon, because you're going to see that first there. Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. You can listen to us on Mom. That's Moguls of Media. We are a part of that. You can go subscribe to Mom Plus, because that's fun. You can also follow us on the socials. You can go to Golden Girls Pod on the Twitters. You can go to Out on the Lanai Official on the Instagrables. We're doing lots of fun stuff on the Instagrables. You can go to Golden Girls Pod on the Facebooksies. And I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pines on, a lot of things.
Whatever you're doing with your hands right now is very funny. I am Squiddy
Okay.
Squid on Twitter and Squidsy on Instagram. And like we said at the top of the episode, if you can also leave us a rating or review wherever you get this podcast, if you can literally, like, before you do the next thing that you were going to do, if it was making hot wings, if it was getting in your car, if it was putting your
Oh,
laundry away, just hit a
oh.
quick pause, find us, leave us a quick review. It doesn't even have
Mm.
to be long. It can just be like, love it or hate it, but I really hope you don't hate us. And
Yeah.
just hit send, and that would mean so much to us.
You had to bring up wings again, didn't you? You had to bring up
I'm
wings
so
again.
sorry.
I love wings.
I know
I've
you
been having a
do.
wing romance lately. Guys, remember,
As always,
stay
stay
golden.
golden
Oh, my hair's so greasy tonight.
like a wing.
I'm hungry.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.